Good evening, everybody there in YouTube, Spreaker. Damn, C2C radio show is live and on the air. It's Sunday night. It's 8:30. Why not? It's time for Corner to Corner. And hey, I'm your host, Stan Grubb, and my tag team partner, there he is. Holy jeez, so flip. He's right there on my right, sort of your left, or I don't know. We're learning this camera thing. It's a Doctor of Desire. Brian Taylor is here. Brian, how's it going, bro?
What's up? I don't know about this whole camera thing because, it brings out the ugliness in you.
It was only a matter of time before we made our television debut. I mean, let's be real. Corner to Corner is big in Japan.
Big in Japan.
We're big in Japan. And we have been picking up speed. I'm really proud of the work we've done. And now, PW247radio.com, boy, oh boy, it's a big deal. And no, we're not going to be standing in front of any maps of the United States. We're time to talk about wrestling, y'all. It's that pro wrestling, y'all.
Y'all.
I get distracted by that little crawl at the bottom. It says, listen to... Oh, don't read the screen. I'm sorry. Don't read the screen. Don't read the screen. So, man, we got a lot to talk about. Let's dive in. Wow, I just realized my mic is super loud. So to those of you at YouTube, my apologies. Sorry. We'll try a little quieter. Okay.
Yeah.
So, man, Brian, how's your week been? How have you handled Election Mania?
Well, you know.
Don't violate rule number 2, but you know.
Yeah. So, I'm not touching rule number 2. Although I will have to say, if there's one impropriety on either side, the whole thing should be thrown out and let's do it again.
You know, I would be okay with that. In all sincerity, if they truly find that, there's true shenanigans, do it. Do a runoff. I'm fine with that. Like you said, not to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but if there's a reason to do it, then do it. You know.
Yes.
What else we got to do here in 2020? Alex Trebek is gone. Damn it. We miss you, Alex.
So, will that end Jeopardy, or will they find a replacement? Because I don't know how you find a replacement.
That's a good question. I honestly am not sure. I kind of hope not, because you can't replace a guy like Alex Trebek. Alex Trebek he's a mainstay, dude. He is Jeopardy. So if you put, Drew Carey to read the questions or the answers, it's be like, no, you can't do that. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it would work either.
I mean, if you can imagine, the kind of shock and awe that 2020 has already put in front of us, you look at, freaking Alex Trebek is gone. It's bad enough. You took from us the ability to go to the movies. You took from us the ability to go to a live wrestling show. Damn it. Can you stop taking stuff? What's wrong with you, 2020?
Well, the problem is, what would they give back?
Ooh. What would they give?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know what 2020 would give us, but it probably wouldn't be anything good.
If you're a TikTok user, there's a very funny TikTok of Mother Nature. And she talks about what she's going to give back or take away, or what she's going to do for us. It's pretty humorous. Here we are, grumpy old men talking about TikTok, but whatever.
No, you're talking about TikTok.
No,
I'm not
you're
talking
on TikTok.
No.
I want to see the Brian Taylor TikTok.
No. It's not long enough.
Dude.
Was it 30 seconds? 10 seconds? 15?
You get
15
seconds and a minute, so you could choose one. I mean, a minute, you can do a lot in a minute. You can do a lot
Sure,
in a minute.
I could do a lot in a minute. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's illegal.
Yeah.
Can't do that on TikTok. Hey, if you are checking us out, whether it's in replay or on live right now through youtube.com, Thank you. Thank you so much for checking out Corner to Corner. We're at c2cradioshow.com, and we are live, live right now, and on pw247radio.com. It's been a few weeks. We've been a little busy. We had Rob, who has transitioned into home ownership. Congratulations to Mr. Rob. And of course, we are always happy to talk about what we love, and that is professional wrestling. We talk about everything here. We talk about WWE, Ring of Honor, AEW, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling when time permits. Impact, of course. Impact is still around. Heath Slater, Heath made a great transition, and unfortunately, he's recovering now from surgery as he got a hernia in the middle of a battle royal at Bound for Glory, which absolutely sucks for him. I feel bad for that guy.
Oh, yeah, especially a hernia, depending on what kind it is. Oof. That's quite painful.
According to him, it's very similar to the one The Rock got at WrestleMania when he took on Cena. So his abductor muscle was torn right off the bone.
I would say that probably hurts.
Yeah, that's bad. That's very bad. Hey, Brian, we are dedicated players of WWE Supercard and both Xbox Live for Battleground, WWE Battlegrounds. This week, news broke that Battlegrounds has three new characters to play with. Of course.
Well, it may only be the two, though.
Okay. All right.
We'll leave the third one out.
So, as we've heard it, and as we saw on WWE's social media, and of course, every wrestling news site, every dirt sheet that you can imagine. Anyway, what we've found out is Bill Goldberg and the Beast. No, not the Beast. The Animal. There we go. The Animal, Batista. I want to hit a Batista bomb. That I want to do.
No, I think I want to get a spear and just be able to shoot them out the ring.
You think
I want to be able to hit them hard enough that I can shoot them.
Can you spear him into the alligator?
Probably not. But the alligator's a cool function.
Yeah, it took me a minute to figure out how to get somebody to the alligator. It was actually making me mad. I'm like, this is pissing me off. Just get to the damn alligator. But it worked. I finally got him there.
Yeah. So I think I'm at 80 something.
Okay.
As far as the matches go, I haven't quite finished it. But
damn.
This will give me a good reason to go back and finish it. So I've put it off for a few other things, but it's still a fun game to pick up every once in a while.
Well, you're just a dedicated player. I mean, that's all there is to it. You're a lot more dedicated than me because I think I'm at 30%, maybe.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think I probably zipped right through it once I got it. I didn't have too many losses. I had one or two, but it wasn't really some of the areas that other people had problems with.
I think so far the toughest spot was actually it was the cage match against Jake Roberts. So I think that's in Mexico. Yeah,
you might be right.
I think it's in Mexico because you're the witch doctor character. Battlegrounds has been out for what, a month and a half, 2 months now?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so I think spoilers-wise, we're safe. But if you're in the witch doctor portion of the storyline, which, I mean, this is a really extensive storyline, so I'm not really spoiling too much. You get to a part where you have to take on Jake Roberts in a steel cage match, and the toughest part of the cage match, which is actually one of the coolest parts, is that it's electrified. So when you're climbing up the cage, you got 30 seconds, I think, to get up that cage. And if you're not up there, the cage you get an alarm, and then all of a sudden it lights up, and you're done. You're toast. Boom. Shocked right off the cage.
I do think, though, the cage, once you figure it out, shouldn't take you too hard to get up over it. There's a spot, it's when you get to the females, that was hard for me. I think there was one match that I had to do multiple times until it's just one of those ones where if you don't, I don't want to spoil anything, but so literally I had to get dirty and play those dirty tactics, and eventually I was able to get a count out in order to move past it.
Oh wow!
But that was after several attempts. So the women, the game kind of gets a little dirty on you. Where, I mean, like you can be beating them, and the next thing you know, they hit their specials and finishers, and it's just consecutive, and there's nothing really you can do about it.
Yeah, I think that the one thing I've noticed so far has been the challenging parts. The unlockables is really the challenge. It's not necessarily the ability to just progress in a storyline, but it's actually more along the lines of getting that one step further. So if you're unlocking an extra move set or statistics for your character, to me that seems to be when the matches are hardest.
No, again, I didn't really have a problem till much later. I didn't really have a problem till I got to the women. There's a section with the women, and it's all women. That's where I really started to have a problem. But I do like that you can go to a different story number, I guess you call it, and you can unlock different things on almost every one of them.
Yeah, I like being
so
able
you can unlock characters and all that other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I like being able to do that. Being able to access all of the hidden stuff, all the hidden feats is super cool. I like being able to kind of delve out into the different pieces instead of having to just to follow that single spot.
Yeah. To me, though, with the unlocks, it almost makes you feel like you're earning something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the exception of superstars, when you unlock a superstar, you can almost kind of see, where the progression is going to take you.
Yeah, I think that's been the most fun for me. Has been just that in the cartoon aspect of it, the crazy zany parts of it, do the little macho thing, zany. But yeah, it's definitely pretty crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I'll have to admit, I think when it first come out, and I was excited. Then you kind of talked me out of it. Then you talked me back into it. But after getting it in my hand and giving it a whirl on the Xbox, I do kind of like the cartoonish look and feel to it.
Yeah.
A whole lot better than I thought it would.
I think the playability really surprised me. I wasn't expecting it to be so much fun. As a matter of fact, you're right. I was like, man, I'm not playing this. This looks cartoonish. It doesn't look like it's any fun. But the reality was, no, it was actually a lot of fun. It was.
Real quick, your little background stuff keeps stopping on you. Ooh. Just making sure it didn't freeze permanently on you.
No, don't do that. We're learning OBS here. It's a brand new world. It's a whole new world, just like Disney says it really is.
Stop giving away secrets.
It's not secret.
What if people are listening?
Who's listening?
What if somebody's listening and eating a Hot Pocket?
Oh, Jesus. I don't think his internet can pick
we
us
have
up.
Stalkers. We have stalkers.
Well, the Jacksons, but, that's just because of everything we've seen so far.
Well,
you don't think he watches us? I mean, come on. We're too small time. He's a mid-Atlantic moneymaker guy. We're just us.
And then you said it.
I know.
You gave him airtime, and then you gave him airtime.
You started it.
No, but nobody knew I was talking about. They just knew he liked Hot Pockets.
The Wish.com version of the $1 Million Man. That's my favorite comparison. So, Brian,
All right.
yeah, let's keep with it, right? So, aside from Battleground, which, again, I think that's going to be cool. I am looking forward to that. Season 7 of Supercard is coming up. We've been playing Supercard since it came out in 2014. These guys are killing it with keeping the game moving, keeping things active and entertaining. And it looks like we've got some innovations coming up with this time around. This could be a lot more fun.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a lot more fun. However, it is Cat Daddy. It is Supercards.
Oh, you mean Cash Daddy?
Yeah, something tells me that all the hoopla and all this about we're gonna give you the chance to be winners now.
Woo!
Is still gonna be nothing but a bunch of smoke and mirrors.
Bunch of hooey.
Yeah, a bunch of hooey. But I will say this is probably the first season since season number 1 that I'm actually excited to be playing Supercard.
So this is not a reset that they've done. It is
no.
Well, there's a lot of different pieces, so we'll kind of go over it. The breakdown of Battleground points, P versus P points, Money in the Bank contracts, and there's another piece I'm missing. King of the Ring? No,
not King of the Ring.
Those are the main components, though. The PvP, the Battleground, and Money in the Bank, those are all converting to what's called Super Coins. Super Coins is basically going to be a more unified currency to make it easier for us that don't want to pay billions and billions of dollars. Make it easier for us to actually get our hands on the rare cards, like the event cards through Money in the Bank. Right now is Hell in a Cell, and it's Sasha Banks and Elias. Now, I don't know about Elias, but Sasha Banks' card looks amazing, and I want that background. But can't get it because I'm not willing to sit there and play hours amongst hours just to earn, 15, 25,000 contracts? Like, who the hell?
No, but that's just for one. So to pro, you would need about 50, probably 51, 52.
Yeah, and the formula for pro
I think it's 25. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. It takes too long, in my opinion.
Well, plus the math on on proing a card right now pisses me off. You got, like, WrestleMania 36 came out, it really started to stand out. As soon as you started to see him slowly tick over 2 million. So you work hard, you finally level up all the way, you're at max level in the game, and then you start leveling up your cards, training up your cards, and you pro them, and you only get, instead of 2.4 million or 2.5 unfortified, it's 2.2. It's like, what the hell? Like, what's the point of even proing a card if that's how you get right at the beginning? Now, granted, you train them up, you do the performance center, and then if you can get more, you fortify them, and you can ultimately get to there. But that takes, with the top deck, with your top 8, that takes, what, another month? Maybe 2?
Normally doesn't take me that long, so I'll have spurts where I'll sit down, and if I get the right card that I may need to pro, one of my top, actually it's top 6, because 2 of the 8 are enhancements or whatever. They're not really like your deck cards, right? So if you look at your top 8, 2 of them are enhancements or whatever they're called. But if I let's say like SummerSlam AJ, if I have one and then I get a second one, well, I may sit there and in a night knock out 100 games to level up that AJ so I can then pro them.
Right.
And, so a lot of times it comes, it all depends on the card. If I get to pull a card, if I pull, if I have a specialty card, I'm definitely going to try and knock it out in one night, depending on what time it is I pull it. But I mean, I've been known to get pretty close to leveling up 2 cards completely in one night. the mood is right and the time's right when I get them.
Yeah, I think a lot of things when you start playing through Supercard, the first thing that you notice is, and people have said this about a lot of 2K's card games, so NBA 2K, there's not an MLB, but there's another one. Shoot, I'm just drawing blanks all over the place today.
Hockey? Is there hockey?
NHL. Now, NHL is actually a lot of fun to play, so if you get an opportunity to check it out, it's made by 2K Games, so it's the same company. And Cat Daddy, I think, makes that one as well. Maybe they make all three. But the keys that I'm noticing is that the pay-to-play is a bigger bonus point right now, before Season 7 hits. Right now, pay-to-play is more prevalent than, just free play. Which, I mean, I get it. It's a business. It's designed to make money, so you push a little bit. You create these stretch goals. With Season 7, the overall goal that Cat Daddy and 2K has described is to make Supercard more of a collector game and more stable over a long period of time, which, think about it, I mean, 7 years for an online game, for one, and then for a mobile game is huge. I mean, that doesn't happen very often.
Oh, yeah, especially like a card game.
Yeah.
I would imagine like a Marvel or DC type game would probably last.
Mm-hmm.
Candy Crush is probably going to last. But there are so many that will eventually fall by the wayside. But I am glad they're reinventing the wheel without reinventing the wheel, so to speak. So hopefully, though, it'll become more. It'll become easier to level, right? So I've never really been able to, because I don't really pay, right? So I may spend $100 a year, on a pack, whatever.
That's actually really impressive because, unfortunately, I spent way too much.
Yes, well, yeah, I know. So, but again, and that's normally around Christmas when I have it.
Yep.
So, hold on, I'm trying to adjust there. But I'm not a pay to play.
Yeah.
But I do pretty good right now. Get out of there.
What?
All right. I had a piece of hair or something in there.
Hey, this is live, baby. We're live.
I know we're live, man.
We're live, pal.
I don't care. So anyway, I normally get within arm's reach of being the max level when the new season starts.
Yeah.
And again, right now I'm SummerSlam Plus. So I'm like within arm's reach of starting this next season, ready to go. And I can never get, what's the one mode where you have to go through like 8 different cards.
Oh, Ring Domination.
Yeah, is it? No, not Ring Domination. The ones where you start with, like, say, a beast, and then you go to the next one, and it would ultimately end.
Road to Glory.
I don't have. Yeah, that's it. I've never been able to get a Road to Glory deck so that I can capture the last card. I mean, I've been like halfway through the second to last card, but in that mode, once you hit that wall, you're pretty much stuck.
Yeah.
Especially when you get up all the way up to the top. So.
I don't know how.
But hopefully.
Play, but right now we're at SummerSlam 20 plus.
Yeah, well. So because of your background there, buddy, you just literally blocked yourself out.
Ah!
That phone didn't.
You can't see me, like John Cena.
Yeah. No, you put it. Hold it back. Hold it back from the camera. No, put it in front of your face. There you. Don't put it too close. There you go. Yeah, that's perfect. Right there.
I did discover that Facebook actually has the ability to play Supercard now through the browser. So, hey, there will be, Yeah, there's going to be some gameplay videos coming up sometime. I don't know when, but sometime.
Yay! Stan's gonna play gameplay videos.
You get to see me suck at this game. I love games on my phone. I like anything that can kind of help me, change focus for a second to kind of relax. So Supercard, I mean, if I got my phone in my hand, you can see it here, I'll just be tapping the screen, just
no,
you're tapping away.
Because of your green screen background, your phone disappears on you.
Woo. Oh, that's good.
Yes. So you keep flashing it and it's not there.
Ah, jeez. That's not good. That's not good. This is the problems of modern technology, sir.
Only yours.
It is.
You should have put it on background blur like mine.
He's right. Damn it. Son of a... I could do that, though. The coolest part boom!
Had I known we were going to be doing this, I'd have gone upstairs. I'd have gone to the room.
I love surprising you with new technology and new stuff. New exciting stuff.
Surprise!
Hey, and speaking of surprises, well, maybe it's not really a surprise, Brian. Hey, guess what was on last night and may have taken the nomination for pay-per-view of the year? Guess what it was. You'll never guess.
AEW.
That's right, baby. Full gear. Damn, what a show. What a show, man. First off, I was blown away by Serena Deeb, but I was really blown away by Nyla Rose and how much she's improved. And we're going to talk about that. I want to do this in order. I want to be fair. And, of course, we're going to work with reading some of the results through WrestlingHeadlines.com. We did both watch the show. We watched it in its entirety. But just to keep us on pace and keep us in order, I'm going to use that as a reference point. So if you see me diving down, that's me reading. So
you're going to be diving down with the mic that close to your mouth.
Wait, what? No. Hey, what? No. That's not what we do here.
You're going to wind up sticking yourself in the eye with that.
Jeez, son of a...
Yeah, let's hold it away. Just make sure if you dive down, be like, poke yourself.
So, I mean, there's just so much news. First off, hey, how cool is it that we now get to finally call Cody the American Nightmare, Cody freaking Rhodes? Thank God. It was getting dumb to not call him Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, so I wonder what ultimately happened with that. So that news actually broke last Wednesday.
Wednesday morning, and he announced it later in the evening. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was on Dynamite or if it happened after the show went off air, and then he did it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he announced it last Wednesday that he now has the Rhodes name.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most powerful parts of AEW in coming to be was knowing that you had the legacy of the Rhodes family, seriously, involved with being back down south, back in the Atlanta, Florida region, in that area, but having wrestling kind of returning to its roots in that regard. And Cody has always held his family name, but also wrestling in high regard. WWE has no problem saying they are sports entertainment, and they'll say that freely. They don't worry about it. As a matter of fact, pro wrestling used to be you couldn't even say it on the show. Now they don't care so much, but we all know the deal. So AEW comes around, and Cody, he leaves WWE to go on his own, finds out that his last name, copywritten. Don't know why they would do that except to make money off his name. And you'd think when a guy leaves, unless it's like Goldust, I understood. Like if Dustin wants to be Goldust, that's a WWE character. I get it.
Right.
But Dustin Rhodes was Dustin Rhodes before he ever touched the WWE. To me, it makes sense to give him back his name. But, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not into contract law.
Well, that's true. And hopefully for those coming up in the business now, they can learn that lesson.
Yes.
However, if it's me and my last name was Rhodes,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would sign a contract unless I kept that when I left.
Yeah. One of the big things that Samoa Joe and CM Punk were very smart about was, okay, fine. When we're done, we're done. That's whatever. But my name is my name. You're not getting my
Right.
name. AJ Styles,
Right.
same way. He follows their lead in that regard. Who is another guy? James Storm, Bobby Roode. These are guys that they had to keep because if you call Bobby Roode, John Smith, it's not going to have as much weight. So you have to
Right.
keep that name. Now, granted, they may have done some trademarking now, but I digress. So,
Well, yeah, but I would think you'd be able to circumvent that because you used it for so many years prior to. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That even if they did it now, you would be able to show that you were conducting business under it for some time. So I would think he'd still be able to use it. But I mean, there are very few names that equal Rhodes.
Yeah.
And to me again, if my last name's Rhodes, I might have even would have passed on the company if I thought they were even going to try and take it.
Yeah.
And people may say, well, there wouldn't have been spots for him. Well, that's not true because we did have ROH, we did have Impact, New Japan. He could have made his name all over the world still.
Yeah.
He didn't. You don't necessarily have to go WWE.
Well, I always use the Billy Kidman reference. Kidman, here's a guy that, he was pretty popular at WCW, but where the hell else is he going to go if once they closed down, there was nowhere else for him to go? He gets to WWE, and they let him wrestle in Independence until he comes in for his debut, but they won't let him use his name. So let's just cut the guy's legs out. He can't make any money unless he's on our TV. And I do understand, but at the same time, it's like, come on, man, you're screwing this guy, and it's unnecessary.
But I don't think they care. Anyway, so
no, they don't. They don't give a damn.
However, though,
Jesus.
I don't want to set you up in a bad spot here. Let's
it
just
is what it is.
But let's just jump right into. I'm gonna save you here, and let's just jump into AEW's pay-per-view.
Brian's saving me from myself here. What a guy.
Yeah.
What a hero.
That's what we do.
Full Gear, starts off with the buy-in, of course. Every pay-per-view for Full Gear, and Brian, since the debut of AEW, as much of a hard time as you give me for being a bobblehead, and there are times where I am, I have put my money out there for AEW, and I've always been pleasantly surprised with it. There's only been a couple times where I was like, geez, what's going on? But even then, it was limited. So Full Gear, wow. They start the buy-in, 7 o'clock, and they start in a hot fashion with Serena Deeb defending the NWA Women's Championship against former NWA Women's Champion Allison Kay. Now, if you're wondering, what the hell? What just happened? Well, Allison Kay is formerly NWA Women's Champion, but Serena Deeb actually beat Thunder Rosa 2 weeks prior. So Thunder Rosa is out of the picture. And Serena Deeb, wow, what a showing for the champ. And so happy for her because of how good she looks on TV now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, not only that, but, I mean, I don't know if her name has been etched in the lineage of that title before now, but her name is now etched in the lineage of that title. So, to me, right, when you talk of titles, right, there is none higher than an NWA title. Right? It doesn't matter to me. The NWA World Heavyweight title, the NWA Tag Team titles, the NWA Women's titles. If you're a wrestling fan, those are the holy grails, right? Those are what you strive for. It's not the WWE title.
Right.
Right. As prestigious as it is, as big as it is, to me, it's that NWA title, because if you look at the history, if you look at the names attached to that belt, they're bigger than any other title out there.
The legacy of the NWA, the legacy of, well, even WCW after NWA, and the legacy of what AEW has done with their championships up to now in their history has been fabulous. I mean, it's really blown me away. And to see Serena Deeb, a woman who, I mean, I think it's not understating it to say that Serena Deeb was sold way short in WWE. And when they had an opportunity with her, they instead made her a coach, which, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that she can't be an effective trainer and coach, but what I'm saying here is that the timing for that was just all wrong, and she had a lot to give still. Now, I understand she had some issues, all right? Remember that in 2010, she's part of the Straight Edge Society. She has some run-ins with the law because of DUI. It happens, right? It's kind of part of life. But when she gets fired, she comes back and they say, look, we're not going to put you on TV. You're going to be a trainer. In my mind, as just a fan, I'm like, man, I think maybe she's going to be done. But we find out that through the Mae Young Classic and then later into AEW that not only is she not done, but bam, she's got a lot to give. And her match with Allison Kay, wow, Allison Kay's great. She was great as Sienna in Impact. She's great now. But Serena Deeb really stepping up her game and showing true to form why she's champ.
Yeah. So I thought the match was okay. But again, to me, the story here is Deeb holding that title. Mm-hmm. So I went, you got to kind of grasp your head around this, right? So as far as I know, she's under contract with AEW.
Right.
Right. And the NWA said, man, not only can we put air title on somebody from another company, mm-hmm. but that we trust her enough to live up to what we expect from the NWA title.
Right.
Right? Because she could very easily, shenanigans could be played here. Right? But to me, she seems like she is such a professional that she's not gonna allow it. Right? So she takes that pride in that title. And she's going to live up to the standards of another company, mm-hmm. while defending it in her home company. And hopefully we're going to continue to see this belt defended by her. I think Thunder Rosa comes out again at the end of the match. So somewhere down the line, of course, we'll get a rematch there. But, I mean, hopefully they're going to let it be defended on Dynamite or Dark more times until, hopefully leading up into February.
What I think we've seen with Serena Deeb and with the NWA is that, first off, what we already knew, and that's Tony Khan is totally okay with working with AEW and other promotions. He wants to see it. As a matter of fact, I get the feeling...
I was going to say, don't spoil it.
I get the feeling we're going to see more of this, is what I was going to say, but
yes.
I can see where you're going. So, again, Serena Deeb defeats Allison Kay in a submission. First off, the chain wrestling in that match, really good. And I feel like Serena Deeb is only right now, just this close to hitting her stride, and we're really going to be in for a treat. So after the fact, just like Brian says, Thunder Rosa comes to the ring. There's a confrontation, and we start getting some of the video lead up to the Full Gear pay-per-view. Cinderella's "Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone." I never really thought I'd hear that song in relation to a tag team.
Oh, not just a tactic on a wrestling promo.
Right. Like what?
And I'm not sure on like any hits online,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody I've heard talk about that, they love that,
Yeah.
and they absolutely love that it's that song used on that promo. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Well, I think it's the general viewer of AEW. It's they watch BTE, they watch Being the Elite, they keep up with Brandon Cutler in the D&D game, they keep up with Brandy's drinking and cooking game. I mean, not game but show. They keep up with everything on YouTube, so everything is quote unquote in character, and they just let it roll, and that's why. And we'll talk about it more in depth, but that's why when you see a guy like John Silver, the first thing you do is you're like, God, this guy's hilarious. And then you see him in the ring, you're like, what the hell? And because no one expected him to perform the way he did last night.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. I got my thoughts on that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Because first is perhaps a match of the year candidate.
Yeah.
In the Hangman Adam Page and the Cleaner Kenny Omega.
I couldn't believe they started the actual pay-per-view with this match. I mean, it was a hot start, and it was the match itself was great, but damn, what a start.
I'm fine with it, and my thought process would be I would want that to be one of these matches that is, in my mind, if I'm Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes and Paige and, all these guys that are, doing this match behind the scenes, I want that to live up to everybody's expectation.
Right.
Right. Because we have in Kenny Omega, the guy that everybody on the internet is whining over. Oh, he's not the same Kenny Omega as New Japan. He's not this. He's not that. Why doesn't he do that?
Yeah.
Right. We have Adam Page, who at one time was touted to probably be the first, AEW champion. Mm-hmm. And that was what we were all expecting. Right.
Yeah.
And to me, Omega is, if I'm going to put him on a scale, Omega is higher on the scale than Page, right? Not by much, right? But higher, right? And so then you trick us, and you put him in a tag team, and then you give him the titles, and then you start playing the little games, where, oh, is somebody going to turn? Or are they not going to turn? Oh, Omega's getting upset, with Page's drinking and, all this. And then it leads to Page getting thrown out of the Elite and Omega not really talking to him. And then the tournament happens, and you just know right off the bat, right?
Yeah, something's going on.
You know where this is going to end.
Right,
this is going to end with Page and Omega. And it's to me, it was a very beautiful story, right? And for those of you who don't know, this is the way wrestling used to be in the 80s, the early 90s, in the 70s. You would have these great long build-ups, right, that culminated exactly where you knew they were going to go, but you just couldn't wait to get there.
Right.
And I think it was quite possibly match of the year contender. And I don't think that in their thought process, because you knew they wanted to just go out there and just tear it down.
Right.
If you had put that up against Moxley and Kingston, I think you get in that situation where that roller coaster goes too high, drops too low, it goes too fast. There'd be so much emotions coming out of that match that you probably wouldn't pay attention to Moxley and Kingston.
Right.
And so I would imagine that's like, well, let's just put it on first. Let's get it over and done with. And let's just go tear it down and give everybody else, let them see, and let's build on this particular match.
Right.
Would be my thought process why it was first.
Well, in the athleticism that was displayed, we finally get a true look at what Kenny Omega is capable of. Now, I watched his matches in the tournament, and I have to admit, I was really aggravated by him. I liked the squash at the beginning in the first round, but when you get to that next round, it needs to be something different. And I would have liked to have seen, as much as, okay, I get it. It has to be, lots of near falls, but I get tired of that. I just would have liked to have seen a more, because they're still not 100% committed, at least on television, as to what Kenny's doing. But I would have liked to have seen a more, F you, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be the cleaner and win. But he was still ruthless, don't get me wrong.
Right. I think they're committed. But again, Kenny's story is not finished yet.
Right. Very true.
And this is where I think if he had faced Phoenix like he was supposed to, it probably would have been another... it wouldn't have been as bad as the week before as far as the squash.
Right.
But he would have handled Phoenix very well. Right?
Yeah.
And it probably wouldn't have been much in the offense from Phoenix. I think they would have just kept building on what they'd done the week before. But now you throw in Pentagon, and it's a different thing. So you can't just have them destroy Pentagon.
Right.
You got to have a more conventional match. I think that's what you get. And so again, I think injuries come into play here, and I don't think we're going to see the cleaner fully 100% until he wins in February.
Right.
And then you're going to see that nasty, ruthless Kenny.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
So
I feel like there's always going to be room for Kenny Omega to be more ruthless because he's just that good. And we already know that because he's that good, we can expect that he's going to do what Kenny Omega does, really.
Right. Yeah. And again, so there's been reports that this year you're going to see Kenny Omega pushed into that role, of holding that company on his shoulders and pushing it into year number 3.
Right.
And again, I don't think the story's finished written. And I honestly don't think it's finished between the two of them.
Right.
Based off what we'll see later on in the night. However, I'm going to tell you that I think this is match of the year candidate.
Oh wow, really?
Again, yeah, I think it has to be. I think there are very few that this had it all. This had the story, right? Mm-hmm. This had the build up. This had the story. This had a very competitive, hard match that neither one of them, there weren't many mistakes. There weren't many slip ups. This was very well put together.
Right.
And they brought it. I mean, they actually brought it.
Yeah.
And it shows you why there's so much faith in both of them. This match alone.
Yeah, I mean that's a true feel. I mean, with what we've seen with Kenny Omega in New Japan, and I think the fans that are angry or unhappy with Kenny Omega in AEW are forgetting that this is the United States of America. Wrestling in America is just different. It's not better or worse or whatever. I don't care about that. It's different. So you're not going to see Okada Omega 50, in the U.S. right now. It's just not, they're not there
Right.
yet. But what you will see is what Kenny Omega apparently has mastered, and that's the ability to tell a story. And this was the first time I've seen Kenny Omega really tell a story with just his movement.
Yeah, and again, if you notice, like there are certain things that he eliminates from this match
Yeah.
that he has in other matches. So there aren't 50 V triggers.
Right.
There are some. There's more than one,
Mm-hmm.
but there aren't 50.
Right.
He doesn't try and hit the one winged angel but one or two times.
Mm-hmm.
So again, he tells. I mean, this to me, this is almost as good as Cody versus Dustin, right?
Ooh, yeah, I'll give you that.
To me, if you're gonna rank matches, I don't think that gets any higher. I think that's your ultimate match, and this one based again off of everything that went into this,
Mm-hmm.
that we've been waiting for this for a year, right? A year, and now we get it, and they just literally put up. What's the word I'm looking for? Put up. It's like a ballet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like a Broadway play that people are going to watch over and over and over again.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those things where this was what we've been hoping for from AEW's matches for a long time. What we finally get a chance to see. And that's just, Brian, maybe you worded it right. Maybe ballet is the right way to word it, because it's got to be something that captivates, that pulls you in. It's got to be something that really makes you pay attention and really makes you go, wow, these guys have it.
Right.
As Jericho would say, they've got it. And that was the matchup that we saw with them. It was stunning, because one, Omega didn't have to let Adam Page look that good. He could have been like, you know what, this needs to be, if I'm going to win this needs to be me, taking charge, taking command, and not giving him an inch. But instead, it was very unselfish, and he let Adam Page look great.
Yeah, well, to me, this sets up for the future, right?
Right.
So I said it told a story,
Mm-hmm.
and I said it's not over,
Right.
right? So I can very easily see that Omega gets it from Moxley,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's February or before or after, and somewhere down the line we're going to get Page versus Omega 2.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Probably for the title.
And that'll be for the title,
mm-hmm.
and that'll probably be when it goes from Omega to Page.
Mm-hmm.
I think the match, I mean, it does so much for both of them,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to keep Kenny going down the heel path ever so slightly. But with this kind of match, Page's stock jumps exponentially. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He now has shown America and the world that he can go toe-to-toe with the best in the business right here, right now.
Well,
and so now people can put their faith in Page, that he's not so much like not really a comedy act, but the beer and the drinking and all this other stuff, he doesn't need it no more.
Right.
He's
right.
Last night made him a legit superstar
mm-hmm.
in the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah, with what he was able to bring to the table last night, we finally got to see Adam Page at his best. And
right.
not to say that he's been awful, because he's been great, but
right.
we've got to see Adam Page truly do what Adam Page should be able to do. And we really
right.
got a chance to enjoy it.
Yeah, again, while one star was made, another was born.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get to see that, but every so often.
Yeah.
You know, in a wrestling match. And I don't care what anybody else in the world says. I don't care, you know, who gets on their little Twitter feed and tweets out whatever. You know, one star was made and one was born in the opening contest of Full Gear last night.
Yeah. And, I mean, with Kenny Omega now, we can see that there's a need for somebody to be opposite Kenny Omega. There wasn't one for a while. There wasn't a who's going to be his foil, who's going to be his rival. Now we have to have one. And honestly, I don't think Moxley's that guy. I mean, he can be, but I don't think he is.
Yeah, I think Omega gets it from Moxley.
Yeah.
I think Moxley is probably going to, you know, again, there's a third show coming.
Yep.
Something tells me that they have plans for it, whether it's, you know, they do a lot more hardcore style matches.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the third show will be more hardcore, you know, because they do have some hardcore people in there as well. So, you know, who knows? But I think Moxley and Omega will go for a while, but I think ultimately Omega wins.
And folks, right now, if you're tuning in, we are live at c2cradioshow.com. We're live at youtube.com through PW247 Radio's live YouTube stream. If you can see us right now, you see myself, you see Brian, and we're talking about Full Gear. It's been a great opportunity for us to grow as fans as we've seen different things unfold with AEW. And one of the things that really has shown great promise has been John Silver and Orange Cassidy. Now, Orange Cassidy is no stranger to being very, very popular. In the indies, Orange Cassidy he's already over. And as Steve Austin would say, he's over like Rover. We've seen him take on Chris Jericho. We've seen him take on everybody. And realistically speaking, he could have been TNT champ. That he really could have been. If he had won the title from Cody, we'd have been okay with that. So if he had won the title from Brody Lee, maybe not, because I think Brody had a better story with Cody. But with what we've seen, what we didn't expect, and maybe that's just because with John Silver, we hadn't seen it outside of Johnny Hungy. But we see number 4 of the Dark Order, Sonny Chase's favorite group, the Dark Order, and John Silver is a freaking beast. You don't get much better than a guy like John Silver.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing is his height. You know, he's a lot shorter than the rest, but he can definitely wrestle.
I'll tell you what my kids said when they saw him.
What's that?
So Juliet, my youngest daughter, is watching it, and she loves watching AEW with us. Every weekend that they're with me, I'm watching something wrestling-wise, so AEW, of course, is this weekend's pick. And she goes, "Who's the midget?" Sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry, Johnny Hungy. I'm sorry. And then she was actually remarking at how strong he was after that. So,
well, you should have made her right. Like, I will not talk bad about the Dark Order like 500 times.
I did get grape Kool-Aid out, though. I found some Kool-Aid for her to drink. Evil Uno, I found his cameo. So if I got to make it happen, we can make a FaceTime happen.
That's funny.
Sonny, you're
yeah, so got it. But Silver, I mean, he's always performed.
Yeah,
even in a tag match. Until last night, he was 2-0 singles.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a slouch in the ring, and he is very strong. I mean, when he was holding Orange up with the one arm,
that was insane.
Yeah.
Most times with a Gorilla Press Slam, you see the guys post up on the shoulders. You see him kind of push and put a hand there. Cassidy may have touched his shoulders simply because he has the reach there, but that was all John Silver. and that had
Yeah.
that had to hurt the sternum too, because that's pretty much where he had his hand placed.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was pressing off the shoulder much.
Yeah,
So,
I was impressed. I mean, Silver moves with lightning quick speed. The kicks he's delivering are. I mean, when you see the guy move, you don't know he's this fast. He's like a bullet. And watching him dart around the ring, I already knew that Orange Cassidy was quick. I didn't know that Orange Cassidy was actually not quick enough to keep up with John Silver. And that's exactly what we saw, was that John Silver could actually outpace Orange Cassidy, and no one to this point has been able to do that.
yeah, he was fast. So I wasn't quite sure how this match would go.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at the start there, where he Orange Cassidy puts his hands up and he's getting ready to put them in his pockets. And
That was hilarious.
Silver's like trying to use his brain to stop him.
Yeah.
But once Silver got him on the ground and rips the pockets out, it almost like it puts him on an even
You left
playing
out
field.
a step, buddy. You left out a step. He ate the pockets. He ripped them out of his pants, and he ate some.
but it's almost like the Urn and the Undertaker. Once he rips the pockets out, they're on even Stevens now. So
yeah.
I did think it was entertaining. Again, it's. I guess it tells a story, because I imagine once Brody Lee comes back, and I think he's out for a COVID scare or something, he's gonna beat the tar on the Silver,
Yeah, for losing.
For not just losing, but for being the mouthpiece of the Dark Order, really, while he's gone, because even Wendy's is texting about Johnny Hungy.
That might be my favorite piece, by the way, is Johnny Hungy.
Yeah, Johnny Hungy. But he is very entertaining. The two of them together were entertaining. I thought it was a really good match, honestly, and to me it surprised me, because I didn't think he'd keep up.
Yeah.
So, because Orange Cassidy has a different speed than probably anybody else.
Well, that's what I've noticed, is that, like, when he worked with Jericho, he worked slow with Jericho. He kind of let Jericho take the lead. And then when it was his time and it was time for him to run, and he ran, like he was sprinting. And you're like, damn, what the hell just happened? What happened?
We're not getting product placement. So
I know, I'm trying to be careful when I take a sip. You just see the straw, like,
hey, looky there, I got a straw.
Hey. Oh, it's a red straw. Looks great on camera. Great on camera. So, yeah, I said it in the C2C chat, and I'll say it again. This may have been the sleeper match of the night. This may have, it blew me away. I was like, holy hell, these guys can really move. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I don't know about the sleeper, because it's hard to be a sleeper when you have, like, in my mind, 4 matches ahead of you. If I was going to rank the pay-per-view, maybe a 5th, but I think it was the most entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of them. So.
Yeah, I think we've seen that AEW is, more than up to the task to bring it to the table for match of the year, match of the night kind of candidate. So let's go back and forth here on the next matchup, which was the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes against Darby Allin, defending the TNT title. Brian, why don't you start with this? I'd love to hear your take on this matchup.
Yeah. I think it's exactly what AEW needs.
Okay.
Right. So Cody's a bona fide legit star.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But one of the complaints about AEW, right? From the bobbleheads and the Twitterverse and all
Not
this
the
stuff.
bobbleheads.
It is how Cody, and I just don't get it, like has these great matches with people, but when he wins, he supposedly is, stopping their careers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's squash match. They just don't understand the terminology. But I think it's a good thing that Cody held this title for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, Brody Lee wasn't supposed to win, and the only reason why he got it was because Cody went and did other things.
Yep. Cody had a TV show booking.
Right. If he wasn't TV show booking, he would have been TNT champ without the Brody Lee. And even Brody Lee says he wasn't supposed to win. But to me, this is more of a homegrown star, right? Of course, he was on the independents, but I'll have to admit, if I had heard his name, if you'd show me a picture and said, "Who's this?" I would have been able to do it before AEW. Right. But through this year, he's worked his butt off. He's given us stellar matches. He has given us great promos. I think he deserves this. I think he deserves a nice lengthy run. I think this is exactly where this belt needs to be on Darby Allin, and let Cody go be Cody Rhodes in the heavyweight lineup. Again, I think it's just that time.
Well, I feel like
pass that belt on.
Yeah, I feel like
just to pass it on.
With Darby Allin, people forget just how good their first matchup was, and that's not just Darby. And I think maybe there should be a new hashtag of LOL Cody wins. By the way, how it used to be LOL Cena wins. Because here's the thing, Cena didn't have the golden shovel, and neither does Cody. If there's a guy that cares about that roster in AEW more than Cody, you won't find one. I don't believe there's one. Cody wants everybody to be successful. And Darby Allin, let's face it, Darby had some close calls where he could have easily been retired. This is before he even got to AEW. So there's a reason that Cody says that he was the one guy to stick up for him. Because probably everybody else thought he was nuts.
Well, not just that, but there's something special about Allin, right?
Yeah,
there really is. Yeah. I may not be the biggest fan, but I'm at least willing to admit there's something special about this kid. From the Halloween costumes that were put up all over the internet, to the little montage of pictures of people face painting.
Right.
It almost kind of reminds you of the late 80s when Sting goes national. Mm-hmm. From, what was it, UWF or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he goes and joins WCW. And he becomes like this huge star. Mm-hmm. People can relate to Darby. He's got the package. He may be a little bit on the skinnier side, but he can wrestle with larger people. They put on a great match. I was very shocked that he won. However, I do think it's a good thing that he won. Not to take anything away from Cody, but it's nice that when you pass that title on, especially after building it to a certain level, and let somebody else take it to the next level. Well, and I think that's what Darby does.
Plus, I think it was a mistake in and of itself to have Cody removed from the heavyweight division. And I think it was honestly, while I understood part of it, I still think it's a stupid move to have him say, I'm never going to challenge for the world title. But if you noticed, during the introduction, Excalibur actually says, I wonder if Cody Rhodes can challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I was like, damn, that's slick. Tony Khan just won an award for me.
So even Rob, because Rob come over last night, Rob was watching it.
Yeah.
Even me and Rob were discussing that. Like, because you have the one interview where he comes back and he's like, I put on 14 pounds.
Right.
You know, I'm now a heavyweight. You know, I'm a heavyweight now. You know, and then if you go back and think, it's Cody cannot wrestle for that world title anymore.
Right.
Well, after last Wednesday, technically he's not Cody no more. He's Cody Rhodes.
That's the best part. That's really the best part. It's just like, I'm Cody Rhodes. Cody. No.
Cody.
Couldn't.
Yeah,
But
he's not
me?
here.
Oh,
yeah.
no, Cody Rhodes.
That was a skinny dude. I'm back. Yeah, I'm Cody Rhodes. You know,
That was that
do his hair
lightweight.
black or something. Yeah,
Oh,
color his
God.
hair black. He could pull like what was the Hulk Hogan one where he was in the mask?
Oh, Mr. America.
Yeah, so he could pull like a Mr. America without having to wear the mask. You know, no, Cody. I think I just saw Cody down that way. You know, you can point to down the hall, dye his hair black or something. I'm Cody Rhodes. I don't know who this Cody is. It's kind of like Wendy Stevens. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, be
Who's
careful.
Wendy Stevens? Wow.
It's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
Gotta
well,
be
you
careful.
just missed him. Yeah, you just missed him. He's
He
down the
was
hall.
just here. I feel like with Cody, he belongs in the main event scene.
Yes.
It's a mistake to not have him in that role. And I get it. He didn't want to be selfish, and we were all afraid that maybe AEW would take that route and say, okay, well, Kenny's going to be champ and Cody's going to be champ. But they didn't. They took a different direction, and they made sure that there was everyone involved.
Right.
That's something that they can benefit from.
Yeah, and now the ones that, you know, didn't get a chance last year or, you know, look like they're going to the forefront. And so, you know, it's a good thing. I like the way they set that up. I like that they didn't all get the titles at one time. And, you know, it was just an elite at the top of every ladder.
I mean, I think we would have understood if they did that. I don't know that there would have been a lot of complaining per se. I think a lot of people would have been like, "Oh well, yeah, of course their elite's going to be at the top of the card. Of course they're going to main event."
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, we want to make sure that there's something different here. We want there to be a different flavor to what we provide.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I thought it was great storytelling. And I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a big fan. Let me just say that. I am a fan, but I'm not a big fan of Darby Allin. And I am very happy though that he does get the opportunity to become the face of TNT and take that title to the next level.
Yeah.
So that kid, it's all on you now. So
it's good to
you
see
got to show the world.
It's good to see a guy like Darby Allin get a chance because, you know, coming from a very modest start in Evolve where I think a lot of people just weren't expecting his star to be on the rise like that, even though it became that way. I think a lot of people just weren't expecting it. To see his matchup with Cody was really good. Now, what happens after that? Here's what I hope that they don't do. Don't put the TNT title on Brian Cage. If you're gonna keep him feuding with Team Taz, put it on Ricky Starks. That's my hope.
Well, yeah. So I hope that TNT title will be treated kind of like the TV title was back in WCW, NWA. You know, so you have the up and coming stars.
Yeah.
Get that. You know, somebody like Brian Cage, who was a world champion in another federation. To me, he doesn't need to be TNT champ.
Right.
A guy like Ricky Starks, a Will Hobbs, you know, an Orange Cassidy, those type of guys should be the ones fighting for that title.
I like Will Hobbs, man.
Yeah.
You kind of spotted. You called him out first. You said, "No, this kid is special. He's got something," and yeah, he surely does.
Yep. And you know, it's almost a shame because as soon as I saw him, you know, on the UCW chat with us and DeVore, I was like, "Look, dude."
Yeah, a lot of what we've seen with AEW is they've discovered a way to keep not low level but low profile talent in a spotlight. And Will Hobbs, a guy his size and his raw ability, honestly, you could see this guy in NXT or even on the main roster in WWE easily from his size and his athleticism. He's the kind of guy that Vince would be like, that's good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
that's what you
Oh, yeah,
know
yeah.
you'd see. And I'm okay with that because he will eventually be a star no matter what he does. But I think his star is better placed in AEW.
Well, I think this way it gets to grow organically, whereas
Yeah.
Darby Allin to make the save, right? And I mean, in the in the near future, he's probably going to turn, right? Because Taz is pretty adamant. I told you, we want you on Team Taz, but he keeps making the saves. Well, something tells me one of these times when Ricky Starks is facing Darby Allin, he's probably going to turn, and but
that kind of
you know
reeks
what
of
I'm
the
saying?
hurt business. I'm just saying.
Well, to me, it's not really a hurt business. It's just a good feel. To me, it's a good placement for him to be with Team Taz. And plus, everybody else has like families and factions, and six-man teams and everything else.
Very quietly, AEW has built up a pretty impressive roster of factions. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And nobody pays attention to it either. Hardly anybody pays attention.
No, they just somehow appear all of a sudden. Like Eddie Kingston's group, nobody has come out there and said, "Why are these people not all champions?" Even though they should.
Right.
Because I mean, you're talking about the Lucha Brothers, Eddie Kingston, Butcher and the Blade, dude. Come on, and Allie.
Yeah, and Allie. Yeah.
So after Darby Allin wins the TNT Championship and gets the holy snot kicked out of him by Team Taz, we find out that the Natural Nightmares, QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes, are going to be taking on the Butcher and the Blade in the Bunkhouse Stampede match for this coming Wednesday's Dynamite. Now, it wasn't really clear at first that this was a tag match. When Dustin first kind of announces that this match is going to be taking place, he kind of says it where it seems like Dustin and the Butcher are going one-on-one. But then we actually find out it's not really that. It's going to be Dustin and QT against Butcher and the Blade, which I think as far as a Bunkhouse Stampede match, I'm in. Let's see it.
So I'm pretty sure a bunkhouse is come as you are. Anything goes. A lot of times they're in blue jeans and T-shirts, and they got the tape fist, and it's a good old-fashioned just beat 'em up type match. So it'll be interesting to see the Butcher and the Blade in this type of environment. Which, now that we brought up the Butcher, I did think when Kingston was cutting the promo that he did kind of remind me of Dr. Robotnik from Sonic. I don't know why.
Dr.
Robotnik. The glasses. Yeah, the glasses he was wearing. His mutton chops were a little bit more pronounced. I was like, when did Dr. Robotnik come through?
So, as it stands right now, and of course this is courtesy of WrestlingHeadlines.com, our folks over at Lords of Pain, Ty Conti and Red Velvet going head-to-head on Dynamite this coming Wednesday. Pentagon Jr., who is now being called
Pentagon El Sorrow.
Yeah. So it's a twist on his name a little bit. Versus Rey Fenix. Now, this is a rematch from the tournament, which, let me just tell you, if you missed the first matchup between these two in this tournament, tune in, because this matchup was amazing. The Natural Nightmares in the Butcher and the Blade in a Bunkhouse Stampede match. All this leading into the AEW Women's Championship match. Now, before we get too head into this this matchup, because I definitely want Brian and I to go through it, we find out on the 10th of November, AEW has an announcement coming, and it's coming from...
Well, wait. Time out. What about the pay-per-view, man?
What pay-per-view? There's a pay-per-view?
I mean, are we going to do part B next week? Or are we still on the pay-per-view?
Oh, yeah. This is just where the announcement would just happened to fall in. So before we get...
you're looking at... They wrote all that crap in there.
Well, yeah. Plus, I remembered it, so I wanted to bring this up, and we can touch on it more later. We find out that AEW's video game division, AEW Games, has an official announcement coming on the 10th of November, which is Tuesday of this coming week. We should know a lot more, because apparently there's not just one.
Right, there's mobile consoles, and I think one or two others.
Apparently they're looking at possibly doing a PC game, which...
Yeah.
Yes.
One of them, according to the con, may involve you being general manager. So you would have a mobile... You would have a regular 2K style.
Yep.
And then you would have the general manager.
Which is funny because a lot of people have complained that the GM mode from 2K was removed, and they they didn't pay attention. So now AEW's like, we'll do it.
Yeah, we'll do it. So, but they're all separate, right? So this isn't part of a mode for one of the other games. This could possibly be its own game.
Now, Kenny Omega's done a great job about being very hush-hush about the game, so I'm not going to lie. I'm really anxious to find out what this news is, because I have confidence that a gamer like Kenny Omega is going to do right by us. He's going to do right by us, Brian.
Sure. Why not? They all do right by us.
That's a lot of faith you just put out there. So, AEW Women's Championship, Nyla Rose challenging Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's title. I said early on that I was really, really impressed with how much Nyla Rose has improved over the course of the few months that it's taken to get her back into the title picture. I like what Shida has done as champion. I was fully expecting Nyla Rose to become women's champion last night.
And I'm going to echo those. I was almost like, I guess they wanted her to look very strong as a champion. And to me, that's what they got. To me, Nyla was on the receiving end of the beating, which was very odd, I guess.
Yeah.
Nyla's been beat before. Riho did it. Sheeta's done it. But the first time Shida beat Nyla, she had to really work for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Nyla just walked her, and it looked like she earned it. This time around, Shida looks so strong to me. And I'm gonna have to admit, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, Nyla. I'll echo it just like you. Looks like she has been training her butt off. It was a nice, smooth match for her. I think she looked good too.
It's about time too, because she has so much potential. She's very popular, and she's very talented. And to see her come into her own, I really feel like last night was almost just like what do they call it, a coming out party for her, because she was just
Right.
that good. And Sheeta has been phenomenal as women's champion, making all of her challengers look not just credible but strong. But to see her kind of take the fight to Nyla Rose in a way that, I mean, wow, I didn't expect that. And Nyla sold like nobody's business for her to make everything look just so strong. The only gripe I have with this match is the aftermath, where this is something where production will probably work with them and try to clean it up as they go forward. But Nyla is in there. She's got Vicky screaming at her, and she says, "Slap me." And it's clear as day. It's everybody can see it. And of course, Vicky's like, "Okay." Wham! Just collides with Nyla's face with her hand. And to me, that's something where the camera guy, that's not Nyla's fault, that's not Vicky's fault. That's the camera guy has to back up just a little bit, because if you had just taken that microphone that's on that camera back just a few steps, it could have looked like she said anything.
Right.
You know?
But for all we know, it was improvised. Right. So Vicky
Very
was
true.
supposed to yell,
Yeah.
be yelling at her, because I think we're about to get the Nyla Rose face turn.
Yeah,
which
I think so too.
I think will be very interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows? Maybe Nyla was like, you know what? Screw it. I want this to look good. Smack me.
And it did. It looked good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to put it down. It's just,
right.
Nyla is in that role, and I think it's just for her, it's unfamiliar territory where she's like, oh wait, I kind of have to take the lead here. And
right.
It's just, that's a camera guy being a little too close, and Nyla just maybe, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not her. I'm not in her position. I'm on the other side. So I'm saying, well, this is all stuff you can remember after the fact, and when you do it again, because it'll happen again, it's going to look
right.
better, and it's going to look different.
Right. Yeah, but again, I thought Nyla was great. She was solid. There weren't a lot of miscues or anything like sometimes accompanying her. And I'm just really shocked that they let Sheeta be so strong.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love Sheeta. But when she come out and started going to blows with Nyla, it was like, this is different.
Yeah, seeing Sheeta just really lay in was like, whoa. And then that top rope Falcon's arrow. Good God. For Nyla Rose to be able to move like that, tremendous. For Sheeta to be able to say, we're going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And then Sheeta takes a pounding towards the end, and you're like, all right, cool, here's where Nyla takes the belt. And I think all of us would have been like, yeah, it makes sense. But no, they played it better. And so, honestly, I kind of want to see what happens. What happens when Sheeta turns it up just a notch and turns, and Riho has to challenge her? I want to see that.
But who knows when that'll be with.
Yeah, very true.
The great COVID, but
COVID kills another one.
As
a joke. Easy.
You almost wonder if this one isn't going to start Sheeta getting a little conceit in her.
Yeah.
You know, like almost like you can see her on Wednesday being like, look, I'm running out of opponents.
Yeah, who's
next?
Everything.
Yeah, I've beaten everybody, Who wants a piece, But we'll see. I mean, I think she was very physical to pull it off.
So I want to get your okay with two things. I need us to back up a little bit and point out something that happened in Kenny Omega and Adam Page. The other thing is,
let's just. I know where you're going with it.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to touch on is we've got the tag title matchup, which is chronologically. There we go. Try saying that. Chronologically is what's next, but looking at the clock and looking at how much time it's going to take us to break this down, I wonder if perhaps we should go through the deletion and MJF and Jericho and then do the tag title match and Moxley and Kingston.
I just whatever you want to do
All right.
is fine. We just if you want to do the deletion and MJF and Jericho, that's fine.
Yeah. So we're gonna do this fast forward style as far as those two, not because the matches were bad, because they weren't. They were actually really good, but because I want to make sure we dedicate the appropriate time to each segment. First off, the Elite Deletion. I wasn't sure what we were going to get out of this because it seems like Matt Hardy is, and this is outside of what he's done in AEW, a little confused about what he wants to be, whether it's broken or extreme, or you don't know how hard it is to be Matt Hardy. You know, when you look at all of those ways that he's kind of branched out, sometimes I wonder if he gets confused or just lost in what he wants to be. So when the deletion came, I said, wow, maybe this is how Matt Hardy ends Matt Hardy. But what we really saw was a reintroduction to broken Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara getting the dog piss knocked out of him for the last half of that matchup. Because at first it's the Inner Circle and Sammy, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, Private Party comes to the rescue, and you're like, I don't know. But then all of a sudden it gets crazy. It's like, here's Gangrel, and here's a Hurricane. And I'm like, what the hell are they doing?
So, I think the water the second time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he goes to the Hurricane, then he goes to the reporter dude, and then he goes back to Hurricane. Well, what should have happened, because again, it is the lake of deletion, whatever, lake of rejuvenation or whatever it's called,
The
right?
lake of reincarnation.
Yeah, that's it. So when he gets thrown in, he should have come back as Sugar Shane from three
count.
Three count. Yeah.
Everybody goes down for the 3 count.
Yeah, I think they missed a golden opportunity there. The first time he goes in, just for the longtime fans who they would have marked out because they would have gotten it. Maybe you could have gotten what was the other guy's name?
Gangrel?
The other one's with him. No, the other one's with Shane and
Evan and Shannon.
Yeah, how cool would that have been if they'd been there all dressed in the white and
I'd have popped so
singing
hard.
I know, man, it would have been great.
I'd have been like, "That's money."
Yeah, but again, I do think they missed the opportunity there. But the match to me is kind of, again, bordering on this may not be so good for a cinematic match until the garage door goes down.
Right.
And they're inside, and it's just Matt and Sammy. And, I mean, Sammy takes the one bump to the back of the head that splits him open. And then he gets the shot in the side of the head with that chair.
Oh, yeah.
And it, in a story fashion, it's a great way to end that if they're going to end it.
Yeah.
They've both drawn blood. This would be the rubber match, right? So 1, 2, 3. I think this is the rubber match. So this is the third one. Hopefully we'll see Matt stick with Private Party a little bit more.
Yeah. As
a coach mentor. And that way, you don't get but so many of his personas. But, and the bad part is I look at the feeds on Facebook and Twitter, and they're like, oh, my God, this match, they were so violent in this match. And I was like, what are y'all talking about? they barely touched each other, for a wrestling match.
Yeah,
So,
that was where I was like, well, okay, I guess I get what you're saying, but this wasn't that. This was a way of them finally ending the story between both guys, and I was okay with that.
yeah. Now they should have shown what they did with the trash can too. Now we know it's not in the trash can when it's loaded on the truck,
right?
But
right.
it would have been nice if they dumped it somewhere, threw it in the lake or dumped it down a hole or something like that. But
yeah, I think that was a lost opportunity as far as storytelling there, because with what we saw, with what we had there, I just feel like this could have been a little bit better, a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad. But yeah, it could have been a little bit better.
Yeah. So MJF
and Chris Jericho. First off, what possesses Chris Jericho to continue to do just some of the insane stuff that he does in the ring? I don't know. He is just so good, man. Just so good. And we get a chance to see Jericho at perhaps what might be not necessarily the end of his career, but getting close to, okay, I'm going to probably wind it up a little bit and get ready, because I see a lot of MJF taking over Inner Circle. My main takeaway from this matchup was the ending, and I thought to myself, what's going to happen here is MJF is going to turn the Inner Circle against Jericho and take it over from the inside.
Well, so if you notice, at the very end, MJF holds the ropes for Jericho.
Yeah.
And then MJF looks at the camera
and winks.
And he winks.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
It's mine now. So now who knows? Maybe there's a Fozzy tour coming up. Maybe it's time to turn Jericho face.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons going to this. Maybe he is going to wind down his career a little bit. I thought it was a good match. Jericho being, the GOAT right now.
Right.
He gets away with doing all types of silly stuff that you wouldn't think he'd be able to do, but he does. Though I will have to say this, although you kind of see the implosion of the Inner Circle coming up, I am more interested in Wardlow and forgetting his name.
Hager.
That's it, Hager, and the stare down, because they're going to go at it, and it's going to be brutal. It's going to be nasty, and it'll probably be the closest thing AEW does to an MMA fight.
I liked Wardlow's confidence at the end. He kind of pops his collar a little bit and just has a little swagger to him. I'm like, oh, that's Wardlow. That's who we should be seeing on TV. That charisma, as we say.
Right. Yeah. I think it'll be interesting this Wednesday when the rest of them are in town and they gotta make the decision on MJF. I think Sammy will be the first one kicked.
I kind of thought towards the end that what happens if MJF says, all right, I can be in, but I don't want in. I was like, that would have been great. But
that could be interesting too.
Who knows? I guess we're not there.
Who knows?
We're not there yet.
No, AEW, all we know is he won a spot.
Yeah, AEW, they're going to take another 6 months to stretch this out.
But that's storytelling, right? That's what we've all been craving for years.
You know what cracks me up about that? And I have complained just as loud as anybody else about this. Like, I don't like necessarily how the Bucks wrestle in matches where it's just high spots. And we're getting ready to talk about the tag title match. But in the matchup that they wrestled last night, that was some of the best tag team storytelling I have ever seen. And that's twice now that the Bucks have managed to do that. So for those of you that, and hey, I was one of those people, but for those of you that think that the Bucks can't tell a story in the ring, last night proved you wrong in a big, big way.
Yeah, so you know me. You know, I've been tooting that Buck horn for years.
Young
right?
Bucks.
So, yeah, when they were New Japan, when they were Bullet Club, you know, nobody believed me. You got to see them. The Bucks are so much better than they were in Impact. You know, they're top of the world. They're the tag team, you know, the best. You know, then they go to ROH and they team with AJ, and you know, I'm trying to put it out there even more. That match shows you why the Young Bucks are truly one of the best in the world. It also showed you why FTR is one of the best in the world. And no offense, I am so glad that the WWE could not realize exactly what they had, and they let them go.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. I feel like with what we've seen with the WWE, they couldn't get out of their own way, and with what we saw with, I'm trying to word this right, with what we saw last night with just the way they've managed to pull things together for FTR. I almost wish that FTR had gone to AEW and had been in the Indies only before that, because I feel like we've been spoiled with what we're seeing now, and that even though their work in NXT and WWE was good, but God, they could have been so much better.
Yeah, so you know that higher ups in the WWE watch that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the only way you really get to scout your talent, other people's talent.
Yeah.
Right? You have to watch. And the boss up top has to watch. You know, the ones that are ultimately going to decide to sign those paychecks, they have to watch. They have to get a feel for these guys. And you almost got to think that after the match, Triple H picks up the phone, calls VKM, and says, "Hey, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You let these guys go. You tried to dress them up as clowns, and look what they just did."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, what a mistake to not put those guys at the forefront of your company.
Oh, yes. And AEW, I think, can now officially proclaim the renaissance of tag team wrestling.
Oh, yeah, easily.
It is coming back, right? So this is going to be the golden period of tag team wrestling. Because it's not just these two teams. But again, these two teams put on, if you're Leonardo da Vinci for AEW, this is the Mona Lisa of tag team matches.
Yeah.
I think this is better than Omega and Page and the Young Bucks, which before last night was the standard bearer for tag team matches in AEW. Well, now you got a new standard bearer.
Yeah, I think when you start looking at, when you start considering tag team wrestling, and you start looking at how the business has just set up tag team wrestling, and when I say the business, it includes WWE. Tag team wrestling is such a unique beast. It's a niche market. You either love it or you hate it. There is no in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
The best tag team matches I've ever seen had high spots where they mattered, had psychology all over the place, and their near falls mattered. It wasn't just a near fall because you need to make the crowd go, ooh. It was, you need something here that keeps them involved. Right. And what we saw last night, even though, they got a little gratuitous with the finishers. Because you know me, I hate that. Quit kicking out of finishers. Quit it. But,
Yeah, but
last night seemed to make it was different.
I don't think they kicked down a lot of finishers last night.
I mean, they did the 3D, they did the DIY finish, they did the heart attack.
Some of those, though, aren't their natural finishers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that would make sense, though. I mean, that's like you, if you're, I don't know, Shane Helms trying to hit the rock bottom on, say, Steve Austin.
Right.
Just because it's a finisher, it's not your finisher.
Right.
So you're using it shouldn't have the same effect. You see what I'm saying? So some of those that would technically be finishers, well, they may not have the same effect. And they were, it is a tag team match, and there are only so many moves like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it had as many high spots as it could have. I was kind of shocked the way it ended with Wheeler. The whole time, no flips, just fist. And what's he do? Climbs up to the top rope.
And tries a 450.
450?
Yeah, what the hell? And then he tweets later, no flips. Like, what the? Yeah. You just flipped.
Yeah. But what's amazing, though, and this is a hidden part to FTR that hopefully we won't see, is that he can actually pull off a 450. Even though he doesn't hit, he pulled off a 450, not from the security of a turnbuckle, where if you don't know, it's a little bit tighter in there because you have the what you call it, the piece to lock it in, and pull it tight. He did it from the ropes. He just hopped up there and hit it, or went for it, and he missed. But he can do it. So, again, this is now your tag team wrestling's standard bearer for what you want.
Do you think this was better than Page and Omega against the Bucks?
I just told you. I told you earlier. This was better.
This was
Remember?
better.
This was better. There's no doubt. So that was the trendsetter. This is it. They picked that flag up and said, "This is why we're both considered the best in the world." I mean, if you think about it, this started years ago with those stupid tweets.
By the way, you can go back through Being the Elite the past 2 years and see where the FTR started getting shouted in the middle of the videos. Like they're filming a commercial as the Bullet Club, and then Cody turns around and goes, "F the Revival!" You're like, what?
Yes. It was. I'm pretty sure it was done at the ROH show we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This has been going on for years.
Yeah. Yeah. Really.
And it, cease and desist letters. There's a lot of history with this, right? And this is something we never thought we'd ever get to see, right? Who's dumb enough to let the Revival go?
Vince.
Who would be dumb enough to let the Revival go, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to hire the Young Bucks. They've cost them too much problems.
Yep.
They're going to hold on to the Revival. Boom, lo and behold, 2020, a story that's been going on for years. And this could have easily fallen so flat, right? This could have been the worst thing we ever saw.
Yeah.
But instead, it becomes the new mark for tag team wrestling in the modern era.
Yeah,
for AEW.
When you look at tag team wrestling, you have expectations that there's going to be a fast pace, that there's going to be, like I said, some psychology, some meaning behind what happens. And you have to, but it becomes explicitly more difficult because of the fact that instead of 2 guys, you got 4.
Right.
So when you see guys like the Revival, or FTR, and you see the Young Bucks, you have to start looking at it through a different kind of perspective, at least at first, because what we would usually see with the Bucks is kind of a lucha libre style, and it's very choreographed, very much, as Matt Hardy would say, very spot monkey. But not
Right.
really. Not last night. Last night we got to see the grit of the Young Bucks. We got to see, Matt and Nick really earn it in a way that we've not seen in a long time. So maybe the
Right.
Jacksons were telling the truth that they just haven't been themselves for a long time.
Well, again, I think it's part of the story, right?
Mhm.
So we talked about it earlier. If the Young Bucks, who when AEW started was the best tag team they had,
Yeah.
right? I think we can all agree with that,
Mhm.
right? If they had held those titles, it would have killed the tag team division,
Yeah.
right? Because they would have overshadowed everybody. So, they can't get the win in the tournament. They lose to Private Party first round.
Mhm.
Shocks everybody,
Right.
Then they lose to Omega and Page, a brand new tag team, right? Former friends or friends or whatever,
Mhm.
and their record's okay, but it's the middle of the pack,
Yeah.
and now through hey, you're gonna see what the Young Bucks are all about. We're tired of playing around. We're tired of not being ourselves. You're going to see. So it's very reminiscent of, to me, more their ROH days, a little bit of the Bullet Club days, that you finally get to see. I mean, they are spot monkeys, but they're not spot monkeys. I mean, they can wrestle
Yeah.
when they have to. Yeah.
What we saw last night, and there was some subtle homages done. Not so subtle, I guess. Different ones to the Dudleys, to the Midnight Express, to Tully and Arn. But then there were some other ones like to the Celtics and the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
The colors of the gear, and it was like the best of the best, right? You got that feel
Right.
like right away. But it also reminded me of the Hart Foundation and the Rockers.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was watching a damn time machine at points because really it reminded me of when Marty and Sean and Brett and Jim would go just nasty on each other and fight it out.
Mm-hmm.
And who the
Right.
hell knew? Who the hell knew that FTR could move that well? Not that they
Right.
not that they ever had to before, so maybe that's why we didn't know. But damn.
Well, I just think that that this probably is not just a dream match for the fans,
Right.
right? We have to admit, on that card, this is a legit dream match,
Oh yeah, definitely.
right? Since FTR has been in AEW, this is the legit dream match we've all been waiting for,
Mm-hmm.
right? And honestly, I would imagine in their minds, right? Both of them will tell you we are the best in the world. FTR, we epitomize tag team wrestling. The Young Bucks, we've been pro wrestling's tag team of the year this many times. We're the best. We're the best. That it's their dream match too, right? Because again, you don't get this but every so often, that the best currently going today actually legitimately have a match. It doesn't happen but every so often, and it happened. And I imagine there was pressure on them, and they just let's just go out there and lay it all on the line and show everybody why we call ourselves the best in the world.
Yeah, I think that the Bucks really gave us a reason to believe, and a strong reason to believe. And FTR proved what we already knew, and that's that they are one of the best tag teams in the world, bar none.
Right.
So we go from one of the best tag team matches we've ever seen to a somewhat difficult to watch I Quit match between AEW World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Over the course of the past few months, we have seen Eddie Kingston literally just cut promos on everything from a bag of Sour Patch Kids to Skittles to to Trick or Treat to, I mean, if you've been paying attention, you've seen that this guy has it on the mic. Now, I have said many times that Eddie Kingston doesn't necessarily convince me that he belongs in the main event. I've said it. But what I saw last night was a type of grit in a babyface Eddie Kingston that I thought I'd never see, and an Eddie Kingston that is vicious and violent that the world's always known. But AEW fans got to finally witness Eddie Kingston at his best.
Yeah, so again, I don't mind Eddie Kingston in the main event picture because I think it tells a story with Moxley that Moxley wants to tell, right? So the last few matches with Moxley have been fights, right? He's your world champ. They've been, dog fights. They've been hardcore matches. And I think Eddie gives him that ability to keep going. What are you doing?
Moving something.
Oh, okay. So now you're moving the camera. I can't focus. Anyway, so I think though that it like I wasn't expecting Kingston to win,
right?
But I was expecting a hardcore match. I missed out on a lot of Moxley in his pre-WWE days.
Yeah. I think a lot of us did.
Right. But he was violent. He was vicious. He bled. He would make you bleed. I mean, he was nasty. Right. And I think this just gives him as the champ the opportunity to build on his credentials. Get your fingers out my nose. And you can't pull that off with so many people.
Yeah, I feel like with Jon Moxley and with Eddie Kingston, you get a very special chemistry, a very special matchup between two guys that are very close friends, but also able to bring it in a way that maybe we just didn't know we would see. The rest of the world that knew Jon Moxley before Dean Ambrose, they knew, and that's okay. Right. What we saw last night was what I think you've talked about, and what maybe fans that have seen Jon Moxley before are saying, duh, because what we got to see was a guy that he knows how to maximize his character, but he also knows how to maximize his minutes in the ring. And Eddie Kingston is that opponent that can make him even better. Now, I think that what we're going to see here is Eddie Kingston is going to make the transition to a good guy. I think what's going to happen here is Moxley, when he gets upended, is going to stay a good guy, but Kingston is going to transition to a good guy as well.
I guess that's possible. Because, sometimes Eddie does, talk a little trash to his little group, when they lose or whatever.
Right.
So it's highly possible one of these times somebody's going to do it to him, and, he's just going to get that beat down.
Yeah.
But getting back to Moxley, what these types of matches, for me, if they give Moxley a certain air about him, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That as a champion, this guy will literally choke you out with barbed wire to keep that title.
Yeah.
So for the fans, for, perception in the locker room, when you go for this title, it's a fight for your life. Because you give him an opportunity, he'll choke you out. He'll hit you with, barbed wire. he's going to fight you, which is different than the rest of the roster, because the rest of the roster is going to wrestle you. Well, not your champ.
Right.
He's going to fight you. So
and he's willing to go through hell to do it. Rubbing alcohol to the back after thumbtacks? Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
I winced at that so hard. I was like, oh no.
And again, this is another mistake by the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before. There were certain times when Dean Ambrose was good, but then you tried to make him something he wasn't, and he wasn't as good.
Yeah.
And now look at him. He goes to AEW, and it's kind of hard to discredit him from being the top title holder in the country.
Well, and that's just it. If you look at the top champions right now, and I know that we're over time, so here we're going to close out here in just a few moments. But if you look at just the champions that are out there right now, you've got
Roman
Reigns, the Tribal Chief, which
Randy
I think they're finally making good progress with Roman. I'm happy with it. Randy Orton, which I think we're all, yeah. You've got the Impact World Champion, Rich Swann. You've got what was usually Okada and is now Evil. God, I almost forgot.
You got the guy from NWA, Nick Aldis.
Oh, Nick Aldis. Yep.
Yeah.
You got all these different people.
I don't know who ROH is right now. I'm sorry.
Probably Jay Lethal. It's probably a safe bet.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't remember who it is though. But I mean, anyway, you got all these world champions, and all of them masters in their craft, top of their class. But Jon Moxley right now is the guy. Nope, sorry Roman, it ain't you. It is Jon Moxley. He is one of the toughest. He is one of the boldest, and he has no problem. He has no problem putting it out there on a microphone in front of the world, saying "F you, F them, F that, F everybody." I'm the champ.
Right.
I'm willing to put it out there, blood and guts, and that's how the show closed last night. Was I'll do it. I'll do whatever it takes. You don't have it. I do. And I was like, that's a statement-making matchup right there with Jon Moxley.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like Moxley tricks the opponent into his style of match.
Yep.
Because, if I'm Omega, I wouldn't want nothing to do with anything hardcore. Right?
Exactly.
But something tells me by the time we get to February, Omega will have been tricked into some type of stipulation that's going to favor Moxley.
Joke's on you. You're stuck in hardcore mode.
Yeah,
Crap!
Yeah. But again, though, to me, it's almost like ECW, right? So when WCW did hardcore, okay. When the WWE did hardcore, they were hit or miss, right? Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong.
Right.
When ECW did hardcore, they were spot on. They were right on the money. They proved why they were hardcore. Moxley is the same way. Moxley shows you every time why he's a champ. He shows you why he's not going to be beat until the time is appropriate. And he will literally play little mind games to trick you into his style of match, because that's where he thrives. That's where he's better than anybody right now.
So, Brian, I want to do something new to close this out. Normally, we do the whole social media, and I can do that. I can always throw that in there. But I want to do where we each close with a minute. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
It can be whatever. It can be Full Gear.
Whatever.
It can be whatever.
It can be whatever.
Yep. I'm going to give you 60 seconds.
But it doesn't have to be one.
No. You can dance around it if you need to. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to give you 60 seconds. And you can't say the word bobblehead. Just kidding. That'd be stupid.
Yeah, but just like Moxley, you said it for me.
Damn it. Son of a...
See how that works?
Suckered me. All right, so here you go. Brian with his final thoughts.
So I thought it was cool the way Ruby Riott won her match, that triple threat match. Bad mistake by Natalya for letting go of that hold before Selena tapped out. For those of you that didn't watch the pay-per-view, and for those of you that heard me and Stan kind of put this off, I'm going to beat them to the punch. So last night, not only did we have AEW represented, we had the NWA represented, and we had Don Callis from Impact doing commentary during Omega and Page's match. We also had Callis as part of Omega's promo over the weekend or last week. So hopefully sometime next year we can have a nice big joint 3 Federation pay-per-view. I don't care if you want to do it 2 nights. I'll buy both nights. I'm sure a lot of the rest of us will. And again, it's something we haven't seen in a long time. New Japan has said they're more than willing to work with AEW now, so maybe we'll get lucky and it'll be like a 4 Federation pay-per-view in the works, just to prove who's better than who. So I don't know if that's 60 seconds, but I don't have a clock. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It has been a crazy week of pro wrestling, and I think, Brian, you have really put a good thought process together there. So I got to say, I happen to agree with what you're saying there. When you talk about what has been going on this week, when you talk about all of the different pieces of what we've seen, wow, it says Brian Taylor twice on the lower thirds. Jesus. I'll get it right, I promise. I promise. He's like, I'm just in it. Pro wrestling is one of those things where if you're a fan, if you know what you like and you know what you love, you stick with it, right? There's going to be guys in the world that love WWE, and that's it. We have those guys in C2C's group chat. We talk to them all the time, and we say, hey, you got to look at this, look at this, look at the AEW. You got guys who like AEW only, and then they are so stuck with what they're saying that they don't want to even look and see, well, maybe AEW's great, but WWE did do this right or did do that right. Like Brian was just talking about Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott is an underutilized talent. Natalya is an underutilized talent. What we're seeing in the world right now of professional wrestling is people are willing to make their moments count. Even and I know I'll get crap for this, but even Aaliyah Mysterio is making her minutes count. Jim Ross has said it since he started with the Ross Report when he was writing the blog on WWF.com. That's right, even further back before they were WWE. You have to maximize your minutes. Full Gear last night proved that if you maximize your minutes, you can do a lot with a little. You really can. Look at what Orange Cassidy and John Silver did. John Silver has been comic relief for the better part of, 4 months. But now we see John Silver in a different light because John Silver can move 90 miles an hour in the ring, and he's brutal and strong. Orange Cassidy, when we first got his introduction in AEW, was funny, was deceptively quick, but what we didn't know was that when he would feud with Chris Jericho, that he had a third gear that really just said, whoa, who is this guy? And now we're talking about, let's make him champ. Let's see a belt on him. What we're seeing right now in pro wrestling is probably something we haven't seen in a long time because there's been a lot of fear of being fired. There used to not be another place to go. If WWE let you go, you had nowhere else to go. Well, now you do. And now in Jacksonville, Florida, if you want, You can make your star as big and as bright as you want it to be because you got a group of guys in the back that are patting you on the back saying, go. They're not saying, well, let me give you a bullet point. Wait, let me give you another promo to do. They're saying, just go. And that, in and of itself, is what has made this week, Full Gear, and Dynamite leading in so important. So, I mean, yeah, blown away, impressed, loved it. Can't wait to see what they do next. That, my friends, is our final thoughts here on Full Gear in the week that was. Catch up with Brian over on social media on Twitter at STRCP21. He is the professor of all that is dickweed. He's there. He's there for your comedic support.
And the future host of a new show on Pro Wrestling 24/7 that we're putting together that is going to cover all types of other fun little topics. Yeah. And now I'm eating a gummy.
Yeah, there's a lot coming up on PW247radio.com. We really appreciate everybody that's been checking us out. You've listened to Social Disturbancing. Mad Max has been tremendous. The Diego and Devois show has been unreal. I mean, the interviews these guys are putting in, they're doing work, man. They're doing work.
Oh, I know. They're doing work, but it's still Devois.
Still can't do Devois.
No.
You can catch up with me at Stan Grubb everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, you name it. That's who I am. That's where I'm at. And then, of course, the show at C2C Radio Show. And don't forget to check Rob Hefner out. He's out there on Instagram at RDHUWP, and he's on Facebook. I don't think his Twitter's active anymore. Who wants that stuff? Twitter's a toxic environment. I mean, literally, you can... Nah. I got to stay away from rule number 2. Yes. Anyway... Want to thank everybody. Hey, the madness has stopped. We can move on with our lives. Now it's back to COVID and being locked inside. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks again for listening. We will see you next time right here on C2CRadioshow.com, PW247radio.com. It's corner to corner time. We're out of here.
Haha, I'm back. Sucker.
Still can't get it right. Talking through the music.
Well, I can't hear the music, so I don't know if it's playing.